Hey guys, it's Will. It's Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome and thank you for finding us. If you're not subscribed and you could subscribe, that would be a huge, huge help. Thank you so much. I know I say that every time, but it does actually help. I promise you. And let us know in the comments what you think about this video. Physical media, Blu-rays, action films, gangster films, thrillers, all that stuff. Shout out to our patrons. This channel would not run the way it does without them. I just did a review actually of Legendary Weapons of China for Patreon. So this is a Shaw Timber Patreon exclusive. So if you want to see my review of that, you can go and check it out on Patreon. So I'm here to talk about a movie that's not a Hong Kong movie. And I know I said I'm not going to do videos like this on this channel anymore because I have my other channel and I'm doing stuff over there. I think a lot of people, like a lot of people who follow this channel based on the taste that I've come to know people have, like talking to people in the comments, talking to people on Twitter, Instagram, will really like this movie. The movie is Suburra. I had literally never heard of this movie. It came out in 2015 and it was sent to me by someone who knows my taste in films and was like, I think you'll really like this movie. It was released by Unearthed, which you can see down here at the bottom, who did like Untold Story, and they did Calamity of Snakes. So they do like Hong Kong and Hong Kong like adjacent type of films. This is an Italian movie from the director actually of Sicario, Day of the Soldado, the sequel to Sicario. As you can see at the top here, and I also think he did the Gomorrah TV show. It says Gomorrah, but I don't think he directed Gomorrah in the movie. I think it was a TV show, but I might be wrong about that. So his name is Stefano Sollima. I mean, look at all the rave reviews on here. Legitimately, I had never heard of this film. I put it on last night. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes long about. I put it on last night and I thought to myself, I'm sorry, I just need to sip some water. I thought I was going to watch like 20 minutes of it and go to bed because I was really tired last night. I watched the whole damn thing. I was like, I didn't stop it. I didn't futz with my phone. I didn't get up and get a snack. I didn't go and pee. Like, I was mesmerized by this freaking movie. This is an incredible, like, gangster saga. It's like a political corruption crime movie based on some real events. I don't think the characters are real people. I think it's kind of based on this actual scandal that happened in Italy, but like a fictionalized version of it. And there are so many characters in this movie. There's like, I would say like 9 or 10 characters who are like central to the plot, who are like main characters. And there's all these groups of characters. There's like the really nasty street gangsters, and there's like the slightly more like the gangsters who are tapped into politics. Like the Vatican is involved in this movie, and like the Pope and the Cardinals. Then you have the politicians. You have a prostitute who's very central to this film, and you have just this really bleak, cynical, nasty, brutal landscape of power, of like the Vatican, of the government, of the drug dealers, of sex, of violence. Like everyone in this movie is tapped into something really nasty, brutal, and negative. And it's this kind of lawless landscape where like the government is in the process of falling apart. Like the prime minister may or may not retire, and the parties are like falling apart. And it's actually, what's really interesting about this film thematically is it's based around the period when the Pope stepped down, if you remember that, which was in I think 2011. So that's when the movie takes place. So you have like this idea of like the entire kind of, and I'm getting off topic, but one of the things I love about Italian movies that are really, really good is that they look at this huge continuum of like, there was ancient Rome, and there's the Vatican, the Renaissance, and then World War II, and then all this political corruption in the wake of that. And like this movie incorporates so much history and like the weight of history, and this notion of this, that Italy is this place of like a constant concentration of power that is based on like wealth, violence, and oppression. And it's so bleak, but it's so well done. There's really only like 2 or 3 characters in this movie who are sympathetic. They end up being not the ones you might think they would be. It's really interesting. You have kind of like a last man standing type of thing in this movie. I don't want to spoil who dies. A lot of people die, but some other people don't die. They just kind of like end up losing, if you want to call it that, right? But the character who's really like the last man standing, if you want to call it that, is really not who you think it's going to be. Like there's a lot of twists and surprises in this film. It's a really interesting film visually and tonally. Visually, he's a great filmmaker, and it kind of reminded me of Johnny To in a way, because it's a little bit subdued and menacing and dark, but it's also like lots of like, there's like graphic sex in this movie. There's a blood and violence, and there's like these, one of the things I loved about this movie, it has these really operatic emotions in it, which I think maybe is very Italian, right? But like that's not Johnny Toe-esque at all. It's almost like Scorsese with like these operatic, almost like histrionic emotions, right? And then and who's another? I'm trying to think of like another character who makes crime movies, but like really like operatic, like almost like a Scarface type of movie, right? It's like that combined with like the more kind of dark, bleak, subdued textures of like a Johnny Toe film. And like they give so much agency to the characters in this film. Like there are these really amazing moments where you hear characters like talking about their dreams and their wants and their like how their lives didn't turn out the way you wanted them to. And like you see these characters who make really bad decisions, but you see that they're in shitty situations and that those situations are completely beyond their control. They have to do with the circumstances of their lives. And like so there's a lot of actual genuine tragedy in this film, like in the Shakespearean sense of like fate and like people trapped by decisions other people made for them that they can't escape, and they only have crappy choices in front of them, and which one do they make and who do they try to protect and how do they try to do that. But then you have genuinely terrible people in this movie who are just bullies and preying on everyone, and it's a really, really incredible like character drama, but it's also a fantastic like crime movie, gangster movie, and really like political thriller. So I don't want to talk too long about it. I just want to, this is more of a recommendation than a movie review. Like I genuinely have nothing negative to say about this movie. I had never heard of it before. It's fucking fantastic. And this release has a 2-hour long making of, which is a really, I watched like the first 15 or 20 minutes of it after I watched the movie. Really awesome documentary. So, I highly, highly recommend this film, but I have to add the caveat that it's not like a John Woo movie where there's constant shootouts everywhere. And it is a very bleak movie, which is also because I remember when Sicario 2 came out, a lot of the negative reviews that I was reading were like, it's too cynical, basically, which I was like, I don't, it's not too cynical. It's just very cynical. And if you don't like that, that's fine, right? But this is it's a very cynical film. But anyway, it's called Suburra. It was released by Unearthed Films, and I cannot recommend this movie enough for fans of just like awesome gangster movies, bleak emotion. It's not a brutal film in the way that like I Saw the Devil is brutal, right? It's like an emotionally brutal film. And you see like the real consequences of violence in this movie in a way you often don't in crime thrillers. Like you see people's lives being genuinely destroyed by small acts of violence that in like a more Hollywood action style type of movie, like someone would get shot and you just move on from it to get to the next plot point. Whereas this really invests itself in like the human level tragedy of the events of the film. So my name is Will, Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society, highly recommended. A huge shout out to the person who sent this to me. I never even heard of it. Now I love it. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.